Hello subscribers, today's review will be on a Mattel Jurassic World toy, which is Mattel's third attempt at the Albertosaurus, specifically the Massive Biters version. Now surprisingly, this is the first time Albertosaurus shows up in the main toy line since the previous two toys were battle damage. One of them had a widespread release, and the other sadly never made it to the US. Now when the images of this toy were first showed, it was awful, mainly because of the colors. They look pretty cheap and generic. Thankfully, they look significantly better in person. So let's take a look at the packaging as always. You got the amazing red, yellow, and orange Primal Attack box. And I forgot to mention that this Albertosaurus is among the last of the 2020 Jurassic World toys, so it means that we won't see this awesome box anytime longer. So let's move to the back. Of course, you got the artwork of the Albertosaurus and its action feature, and it sports the same cheap generic colors that the promo images showed. And on the bottom left, there's only one toy, which is the Massive Biter Sarcosuchus repaint. I haven't found her yet, but once I do, I'll most likely get her. So let's waste no time and see what this Albertosaurus has to offer. So how does this version of the Albertosaurus compare to the previous toys? Well, if you like posing your toys, then you'll probably prefer the battle damage figures. But if you like spring-loaded action features, you'll probably like this guy more. I don't mind both at all, but I prefer posing my toys, so that's why I still prefer the battle damage Albertosaurus. But this guy is still very amazing. So let's take a look at the detailing. Now the Albertosaurus sculpt was a very nicely detailed sculpt to begin with. See all the nice scalation on the face right there. Then you got all these large spikes going down his neck. And of course you got more of this crocodilian-like armor going down his back, which is a lot better than the dragon-like spikes of the Massive Biter's Tarbosaurus. Then across the figure you got a mixture of scalation and then leathery scales, which I like on dinosaur figures. I don't like having like fully scaly dinosaurs. And then you see you got these very muscular legs, shows that this dinosaur never skipped leg day at the gym. Then you got the also puny but still muscular arms. Then you got a nice details on the bottom of the neck, and then on the underbelly as well. You got skin folds and lines, and then on the bottom you got the little scan code right there. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have this toy by now. Now the inside of the mouth, it's a smooth glossy pink. And yeah, also I like to point out that one thing I never liked about the majority of these Mattel theropods is that they lack binocular vision. See, the front of this Albertosaurus, so you can't really see his eyes. So he's practically blind. I wish for their future theropods, Mattel would give them binocular vision. And also, of course, you got the unfortunate shrink wrapping. Like, I know these aren't meant to be 100% accurate, but I don't know. They should just try to fix those issues. So that's about it for the detailing. Let's bring out the battle damage Albertosaurus for comparison. Now, in terms of coloration, which I'll just talk about right now, see this, they basically have the same amount of, like, they both have three different types of colors. Say, this one has the sandy color on the bottom jaw, then he's got, like, a swampy green across his body, and then, like, this, maybe it's, like, a brownish purple, brownish red, I don't know. But yeah, this newer one has three colors as well. Sandy on the underside, this reddish orange, and then I'd say this, I don't know what type of green it is, maybe a lighter swamp green. Yeah, I still prefer this coloration since it seems more natural. I'm not a huge fan of, like, super vibrant dinosaurs. But see, detailing wise, you can see they're practically the same. But it seems like, let's see, like on the underbelly, for example, it seems like this Albertosaurus has more detailing than this guy. But once you get to like the underside of the tail, it seems like this guy has more detailing. So that's about it for the comparisons with the battle damage Albertosaurus. Now let's see how many movable joints this toy has. You can move the ball jointed arms, which I prefer over the basic swivels of the battle damage Albertosaurus. The ankles can swivel, and the legs can move. Unfortunately, they're connected together. So that's about 5 points for articulation, 6 if you want to count the gimmick. So the gimmick, like all massive biter carnivores, you spin the tail, and then he spins his head and neck. You press the button, and then the figure chomps its jaws. So you can make him move like an animatronic, which I really like this type of movement. Very soft, very smooth, and the spring for the jaw doesn't really seem as strong as the Tarbosaurus or the Seats. It feels, I'd say, on the same amount of strength as the Sarcosuchus. Oh yeah, I forgot to point out that Mattel enlarged the feet of this Albertosaurus. I felt like this change was completely pointless, as this one, despite being heavier and having, slightly smaller feet, was able to stand just fine. Speaking of weight, this Albertosaurus is a featherweight for his size, especially when you compare it to other $20 Mattel dinos like the Stegosaurus, Sarcosuchus, or even the Suchomimus. Now all that talk about the Albertosaurus toy is over, let's do some comparisons. So let's bring in some of the smaller figures. Here's the Attack Pack Eleoramus and the Battle Damage Gastosaurus. So it's nice to have a very wide range of theropods in the Mattel Jurassic World toy line. Let's also bring in two Savage Strikes. Here we have the Pososuchus and the recently released Dilophosaurus. And I just noticed how similar the colors are of the Albertosaurus and the Dilophosaurus, but this Albertosaurus is just a better looking toy. Let's do some of the larger dinosaurs now. So here is Soundstrike Baryonyx Grim, which was released around the same time. Here is the Majungasaurus, which is still my favorite Soundstrike figure. And then here's the Sinoceratops. Now the shade of green of this Baryonyx seems to be quite similar to the Albertosaurus. Compared to the Sinoceratops, he seems to be as large, if not larger, than the Albertosaurus. Here is the Massive Biter's Albertosaurus next to his other massive biter friends, which is the Ceots, Tarbosaurus, and Sarcosuchus. It's nice that we have 4 different species of massive biter carnivores, 3 large theropods, and 1 giant crocodilian. Now let's put the Albertosaurus next to the basic 12-inch Spinosaurus, as well as the basic 6-inch Indominus Rex and Tyrannosaurus Rex. As always on this channel, the last comparison will be the reviewed figures next to the Collectae Minis Effactinus. So my final thoughts on the Massive Biter's Albertosaurus. I think it's a pretty cool toy. If you like the Battle Damage toy, then you'll probably enjoy this one, as it's the first Albertosaurus in the Mattel Jurassic World toy lines to have a spring-loaded tail and jaw feature. Now, if I had to give him a rating, I'd say he gets an 8 out of 10. The pretty vibrant color scheme and the oversized feet prevent this thing from being better than the Battle Damage Albertosaurus. This guy was just recently released at Walmart and Target stores, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. So if you guys like this review, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next review.